Once again, today's top stories. London has endured another night of German bombing. Most damage was concentrated in the East End. The RAF has struck enemy aerodromes in Le Havre and the Low Countries. In Russia, further German losses are reported around Leningrad. In Asia, the American fortress at Corregidor is still defiant, but Japanese forces are reported nearing the Burmese oil field.
See here, this isn't about your dedication. Pringle certainly attests to your loyalty. No, your dismissal stems from the Titanic mission. That failure can no longer be ignored, especially now. I am sorry, but someone must shoulder the blame. The service, you understand. We can't be held responsible. The past, forever locked in regret. But what if the past could be changed? Years have come and gone since the night that saw the end of the world, my world. The service needed someone on the Titanic. They chose me. I was to wait for a signal from my contact, so I remained in my cabin. I left only once. Georgia was on board. And that's when it came. There'd be no second chance. It was Sunday, April 14th. Too late, you see, for the Titanic, for me. What if I'd met with my contact, prevented disaster? What if the past could be changed? What then?
Good evening. I am Smethels, your steward, and, if I may say so, it is good to see you up and about. You've been in your cabin the whole voyage. A touch of the mal de mer, was it? Seasickness can be quite unpleasant, especially if it's one's first crossing. Since you haven't been out of your cabin... Very good. We of the White Star Line hope that your stay on board Titanic is as relaxing as possible. As you explore the ship, please bear in mind the following advice. The mouse is your hands, the keys your feet. If you find the screen too dark or too bright, follow the directions on the control screen help panel or consult your manual on adjusting your monitor. To find the control panel help and other features, click on the life preserver at the bottom of the screen. The control panel has a help button, as well as a quit and save game feature. You may also adjust the volume. Test the settings by clicking on the black knob. You may also switch the theme music on or off. After making any adjustments, click OK to return to your current game. Wandering the ship, if you notice a hand, it indicates something to click on. May I suggest you do so? Several personal items in your room, a brown satchel, and a pocket watch are quite useful to you during your voyage. Take them with you. You shall want to converse with other passengers. If you fail to understand them, click on their face. They will repeat their last sentence. The purser. His office is on C deck, just off the forward grand stairs. The elevator, or lift as we call it, has an attendant who can direct you to various sections of the ship. The lifts are located behind the forward grand staircase. Lastly, you may always find me by returning to your cabin, C-73, and ringing the bell to the right of the door. Your correspondence. 2,200 on board, and they all want messages delivered promptly. Even if it is 1912, and the Titanic, the most advanced means of sea conveyance ever devised, I still have only two hands. Here, a map of the ship for you. Compliments of the White Star Line. I have taken the liberty of indicating your cabin, C-73. Of course, on a Sunday evening at this hour, there won't be many people out. Will there be anything else? A young lady. The electric camel, an exercise device. They say it is good for the liver. I wouldn't know. It's located in the gymnasium, on the boat deck, on the starboard side. Port.
Glory be. It's about time. You're late. Another 5 minutes and I'd have cancelled your mission. Yes, I'm Pringle. Penny Pringle. From the Bureau of Secret Service. You didn't think they'd plunk you down on this bucket of bolts and millionaires alone, did you? What a botch-up. Some idiot in the War Office booked me into second, not first class. And I've had a fine time of it, too. The crew wouldn't let me in the first cabin at all. It's just today I located you. Look at this. A German colonel named Zeitel. He's inspecting their embassies in Havana, Washington, and Mexico City. We know better. 10 days ago, the Bureau got word that Zeitel has in his possession a priceless copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, stolen 2 months ago in Paris after its purchase by a very highly placed member of His Majesty's government. The Rubaiyat's a book, a collection of medieval Persian poetry, a passion of his lordship's. Poetry. Persians. The German High Command must think it's important enough to have their top man smuggle the lot on board. It's your job to find out. His lordship's watching this very closely. Very closely indeed. I wouldn't fumble this chance either, unless you fancy spending the rest of your career in some grotty Midlands back office shuffling paper about. Have you seen the report? In your trunk? On the international situation? I'd jolly well read it if I were you. No. He's with a protégé. Name of Heidelitz, I believe. The two spend a great deal of time in the Café Parisien. Nibbling pastries. Get into the wireless room. I don't know or care how. Officer Morrow wouldn't let me in. See if Zeitels received or sent any telegrams about the Rubaiyat. You've got a cryptograph in your trunk. It'll unscramble the German codes for you. You use the brains God gave you. Watch people. Listen. When you find the Rubaiyat, knock on my door. Cabin F, 34. Use the second-class stairs. You should be set. Remember, this is your big chance. Don't fail.
Come here.
Good evening. Third Officer Morrow here. I am sorry, but this is the officers' promenade. No passengers allowed. Yes, though the only thing to watch is the wireless room. They just keep bringing up more messages. Wireless telegraphy is all the rage these days. Not tonight, I'm afraid. I've got an uneasy feeling. Something seems wrong. Yes, very calm. No moon. I don't like that. Can't see what's coming. No moon means surprises, as if we don't have enough already. Mr. Ismay, the White Star Line's president's on board. We're walking eggshells round him, I tell you. Though that's nothing compared to the creeping about my brother-in-law's doing at the moment. His entire London office is in an uproar. Tom works in the Admiralty. Seems our plans for troop deployments against Germany disappeared 3 weeks ago. Tom says the big boys are petrified the Jerrys will get wind of it. Could upset the balance of power. Politics. Desktop espionage. Bureaucrats. Pah, give me the sea. You can toss the rest. Never have. Not since the war. South Africa. Boer War. The officer was a drinker. He was drunk when they trapped us out on the veldt. On a moonless night. It was a massacre. We never saw them coming. Drink always leads to the devil. An interesting connection. For all I know, it could be true. A man's got his troubles, sick child, being away from home. But I hate whiners and apologizers. Well, thank you for your insight. Have a look, why don't you? Mind you, Phillips will have my head if he catches you in there.
Don't you love the sea air? Really clears out the sinuses. Max Seidelman, Philadelphia, PA. Buyer for Haymaker's department store. The shoppy of Spruce Street, they call me. You a sporting type? You look like the sporting type. Come on down to the smoking room for a nightcap. Riviera's looking for someone to play a few hands of blackjack with him. What do you say? Great. First, let's swing by the Parisian Cafe. There's a man there named Zeitel, a German. Claims he's a businessman, but he's got something up the sleeve, all right. I know the type, believe me. Dollars to donuts, he's in some racket. So come with, why don't you? We'll hit the smoking room from there. Hey, Colonel, how you doing? Willie, like you to meet a friend.
A pleasure.
Hedilot and I, we welcome diversion during such an uneventful passage, don't we, Willy?
Certainly.
Willy is at the University of Vienna, dissecting children's fables.
Cultural mythology, it's quite interesting. So only a junior professor, I tried to interest Dr. Freud. He's a genius, and
Yes, I am sure, quite. On the passenger list it says you embarked at Cherbourg, yet I have not seen you with the others. You were there, were you not? I see. You are British. Not so many of you in Titanic's first cabins. These days most of the rich are Americans, businessmen like Max. Tell me, why do you go to New York? Business. How interesting, considering the British are not so good at it. Me? Inspecting our embassies. Imperial Germany desires to make a good impression in North America. Willy is continuing on, to the west, to conduct research on Aboriginal customs.
the Indians, they are fascinating.
Yes. However, I place faith in science, not superstition.
The Colonel was saying this wireless stuff's revolutionizing everything. Sending messages to each other. It's the end of books and newspapers.
Like the Titanic, a technological triumph. Here we dined in comfort while racing along at 20 knots. It's still tied to the outside world by the wireless.
That reminds me, Colonel Seitel, when I go to send you a telegram, they told me it was to be delayed. There are too many messages. The passengers...
I am sure our guests do not care to hear a detailed discussion of your encounter with telegraphy. Now, if you will excuse me...
Please, excuse us.
Won't you call on us tomorrow? Here, in the cafe.
See? What did I tell you? What did I say? Them too. Up to something, I'd say. The brainy kid gives me the creeps. What a grind. He should hang out with that little blonde. She's a looker, I tell you. Come on, let's hit the smoking room. I'll introduce you to Riviera. Great. Go on up. I gotta see a man about a horse. I'll meet you in a few minutes. Goodbye.
But my dear, it's Daisy Cashmore. My dear, I've a little favor. Tonight at dinner, a man I don't know was making eyes at me. Be an absolute darling and find out who he is. Look him up in the passenger list.
Yes, can I help you? Perhaps. Have you a name? Let me check. Aha, Mr. George Quincy Clifford, A27. I live to serve. Very good then. Good.
Majesty's government has assigned an agent of the Crown to rendezvous with you on board the Titanic. Remain in your cabin until your contact gives you further instructions. After completion of all your assignments on board, book passage to remain on the ship and return to Southampton for your next assignment. For a more in-depth report of the international situation in the spring of 1912, please review the white paper included as part of this briefing. That is all.
this time? It's Georgia. I'd heard you on board. Where have you been? It's been 5 years. I'd have waited a lot longer to see you again. Why didn't you tell me where you'd gone? Dina hadn't a clue, nor did Jack. My letters were returned. Just like you to show up now, with everything such a beastly mess. You must help me. You've no doubt heard the rumors. Even if the money's gone, I won't give the diamonds to Charles, never. These are all that remains. My insurance for a new life without Charles or Saoirse. Saoirse, the owner of the Barbican Gallery? We're friends, of a sort. He's sailing on the Titanic, taking some paintings to New York to sell. Please, I mustn't talk any longer. Take it. Take the necklace. It's my only chance now. Keep it for me. And don't tell Charles you have it. You can't know what he's like.
A fine night to be indoors, cold as the dickens outside. Cold but clear. Clear as a bell, and the stars, oh, you should see 1,000,000 stars in God's firmament. A congregation of light. The name's Trout, the Reverend Edgar Trout. I'm returning from a mission in Africa, to Sunapee, New Hampshire, where I live. Emily, my wife, she's dead. Thank you. We had looked forward to this journey. But she died at Port Said. Though it was Nyasaland that killed her, the doctors, you know, never did find all the parasites. Calling on Miss Pringle? She has been invaluable this voyage, a pillar. Oh yes, we're very glad she's with us. Unlike the occultist Trask, tempting the passengers with his occult mysteries. Be wary of him. Trask's a trickster. Take this card, a prayer card, from my own collection. So you must like it, this section of the Titanic. Here, second class. You can get to Scotland Road from here. Scotland Road runs the length of the ship, from stern to bow on E-deck. It allows the crew to get from one side to the other quickly. I could go to third class if I take the Scotland Road. But I don't believe in social mixing. No, it creates too much anxiety. A place for everyone, and everyone a place. Though some don't choose to see it that way. In the course of my ministrations, I've observed a gentleman from first class. A young German, among the steerage women. Most unnatural. Wait, before you leave, I was wondering. I am very happy. Tomorrow we will discuss everything. Good evening.
You've decoded the message. Smashing. The boiler rooms. Blast. There's an entrance to the lower decks around here somewhere. Query the lift attendant. He's cheeky, but he knows this ship. Intercept the Rubaiyat before it changes hands.
starter, a passenger. I can't regulate the steam for boilers 1 and 2, so I don't have time for you. You're where you shouldn't be. Get up top, before you're kicked up there. Oh, I doubt it. She's really acting up. See? Still working the bugs out of her. See for yourself. Have at it. There's a gauge showing the turbine's power output. The needle's got to move into the green zone. She's still running too rough. Here, take a look at the instruction manual. You might have better luck than me. Right. There's a gauge showing the turbine's power output. The needle's got to move into the green zone. She's still running too rough. What's wrong? Right. Right smart you were. She's running much smoother now. Say, since you were so interested, go on, have a peek in the engine room.
You are a passenger. Excuse me, I would speak with you. Forgive me, I am sorry to intrude on you, a person of such high station. I am Vlad. I have men. I am leaving my home. I am a Serb and they have killed my wife, my children, the Austrians. For that they will pay. But I do not want to burden you. Please, I need a favor. I have a friend in first class, in cabin A14. Mr. Babacon has a package for me. I am a stowaway. If I am caught, maybe they throw me overboard. Please get the package. I've eaten nothing since we sailed, save for a rat who is not so fast. His name is Barbicon, in A14. Tell him you've come from Vlad. He will give you the package. I wait here for your return. Your assistance will be repaid manyfold.
Crikey, how'd you get here? Sorry, passengers aren't allowed to enter the cargo hold.
Get his name? Clifford. Clifford. Never heard of him. You're an angel. You know his wife Beatrix, the designer. Such an eye. Her clothes. Certainly, I must...
Yes? You found him. Sasha Barbican of Barbican Galleries. Now, what is it that I can help you with? For Vlad? He's on board? Please come in. He did it. I told him not to, told him I'd pay his ticket, but he was too proud. Such a tragedy about his family. They were with my mother's people. When Austria took Bosnia, they were killed. Many were. With his family dead, America seems as good a place as any for Vlad. Ask Vlad, I don't know. Here, his things. He'll be glad to get them. It's rather late. Our history is quite complex. Certainly, Georgia's a woman who does not go unnoticed. Georgia exudes a certain romantic paranoia, a condition, I fear, worsened by Charles' own romance with whiskey. Continuously. One hears there are financial problems. They say Charles owes Andrew Conkling thousands of pounds. Georgia? Have you talked to her? You be the judge. She's accused me of outrageous deeds, libelous practically. I'm part Slav, you see, a Serbian on my mother's side. Georgia finds such a mixture a source for wild stories. Not much anyone can do, I'm afraid. George is in clear need of a rest. Good night. And don't believe what Lady Georgia says. She's not well. Enjoy your voyage.
Thank you. I must see Mr. Barbican. I've bad news. He will not be happy. I am looking for something. Something very important. But it's not here. You have seen a small... It is of no importance. Good night.
Did you get it? Did you find the Rubaiyat? Let me see. That's the Rubaiyat, all right. Well done. Leave it with the purser for safekeeping. It shall be undisturbed there. Smashing. What have you learnt? More art? Zeitel's no connoisseur. No, there's something about that painting of interest to the German High Command. I don't have any information about Vlad, but the other fellow, look here. Zeitel's Titanic contact is a London art dealer named Sacha Barbican. They say he smuggles art, and he's not above selling stolen merchandise. The files say he's Serbian, interestingly enough, with links to some shady Balkan groups. The painting's what Zeitel's really after. You must secure it. Where or how, I don't care. Just find it and bring it back here. Remember, leave the Rubaiyat with the purser for safekeeping. He might also know where the painting's stored. Sneak a peek at his cargo manifest. That should help you find the painting. Cargo stored somewhere beneath the forecastle deck. Things are thickening up quite nicely, aren't they? We've got to get our hands on that painting. Don't fail.
Hello, I'm Conkling. Good of you to come. I trust you're finding the accommodation satisfactory? You're welcome. White Star's anxious for everyone to be as comfortable as possible, particularly on the maiden voyage. Sorry to seem mysterious. You must understand someone in my position, an investor in this ship, needs discretion. You're under no obligation, of course. I have a slight problem. You may be able to help. A servant has stolen an important business document from me, and I must recover it. A few years ago, my wife Beatrix hired a young Irish girl as maid in our London house. We treated her well. 2 weeks ago, she up and left without notice, taking a certain letter with her. I'd given up all hope of recovering it, until my wife spotted her this morning on the third-class promenade. Needless to say, I checked with the purser. She'd been scheduled to sail on the Philadelphia. But those passengers were transferred on board the Titanic because of a coal strike. Yes, you could say so. I'd prefer to employ the services of a third party. You. Government officials, friends of mine, told me a bureau agent was on board. I found you through Mrs. Cashmore. A preposterous woman, but she does have an eye for accomplishment. Look, will you help me? You will be rewarded handsomely. Her name is Shayla Hacker. She's 20 or thereabouts. I was her benefactor, one might say. Yes. This puts me in a difficult situation. This young woman, she could cause considerable damage to me, to my reputation if she goes to the newspapers. Confidential business matters. Conkling Steel provides steel for ships. This ship, for example. If the contents of the letter were publicized, our competitors would profit greatly. I've gotten word to her to meet on the poop deck. Go in my place. Tell her there'll be no trouble if she returns the letter. Afterwards, report to me in our suite, B59. Her name is Shayla Hacker. Good night.
Thea. What do you want? Very nice. Security is our first priority. I'll put it in the safe. Why, what do you know? Not that it matters. I'm much too busy. I must get this message through from Mr. Thayer. Mr. Thayer expects his private train car to meet him in New York, and I can't leave my post. But I need to send this telegram. Help? Yes, it might be helpful if you delivered this message to the wireless room for me. Even better, why don't you send it for me? Mr. Thayer is a very important man. So send the telegram at once. Glad to be of service.
Gretel and Sasha to the ship's stern. They're having a rather heated conversation. See if you can listen in. I'll track their movements.
I knew you'd come. Charles received a telegram from the solicitors. Our estate's to be sold off. He asked about the necklace I gave you. I told him I left it with a purser. Don't say anything to him or Sasha. Not him and his group of... Oh, there's much more to tell you. Can you meet me in my stateroom? I'm in B70. It's Charles' custom to go for a drink in the smoking room. When he does, visit me.
We've a problem, Zeidel.
Which is?
The Rubaiyat. It was not at your drop point.
You are sure?
Most definitely.
But I put it there myself. What happened?
There's a third party on board. An agent working against you. Against us.
How do you know?
My servant saw them at the drop. They now have the Rubaiyat. This could ruin me, Zeidel, if I were found out.
We should take precautions.
What about the painting? Did your associate bring it up from the cargo hold?
No, I don't have it.
No? But I put it there myself.
Sasha, I've discovered a traitor. Don't look so startled. It is not you.
You mean Hadelitz, your associate?
No longer my associate, I am afraid. Willy was an intellectual, and intellectuals aren't smart enough for espionage. Now, I must recover the painting and its plans. I fear this third party may already have possession of it.
And Hadelitz?
Thank you for asking. Willy will bring no further harm to the fatherland, I assure you. Let us plan.
Yes, can I help you? You sent it? Marvellous. I was afraid you'd forgotten. Mr. Thayer'll be most grateful. And let them think the purser's not doing his job. I am the purser, and as purser, I am the one who looks after the passengers. Mr. Thayer is Vice President of the Pennsylvania Railroad, and it is I who shall inform the Thayers that their train will be waiting. So, if you'll excuse me... Yes, can I help you? Away, go away, I'm too busy. Mr. Isidore Strauss. Thank you. It is a gold cufflink. Mr. Strauss will be very grateful. Yes, can I help you? Wonderful. Mr. Strauss will be quite pleased that I've found his cufflink. I shall deliver it at once.
Nobody's allowed to... You've got the keys. You're a carter. Of course you can enter. Right this way.
Did you get the painting? Splendid. But now something else has come up. That snooty steward Smethels was looking for you. Find him and kick him smartly in the shins. Here's a message for you.